Hello, friends. Hope you are doing well. So, here we have another question from the same passage. And as far as we understood from the text, is that what um, the passage discusses how people starting from infancy have an egocentric view of the world, right or not? It means they see things mainly from their own perspective. Okay, so and you would find out that uh, as they grow older, they become more aware of others, but this can lead to comparing themselves with others, which might not always be positive, isn't it? So, in that case, the passage explains how this self focus, especially when it leads to comparison with others, can be harmful, making us feel worse about ourselves. Okay. So at the same time, we talk about one of the, you can say that one of the famous persons and his opinion on this. So who is he? So we can talk about Gore Vidal's statement, which used to illustrate this point, right? When do we find out Gore Vidal's? So if you see that, it is clearly stated that, and many studies have shown that young children are egocentric in the way they see the world, act, talk, think, and behave like others. Normal development requires adopting a more allocentric or other based perspective in order to be accepted. The sense of self change from early ebullient egocentrism to an increasing awareness of one's relative position in the social order. Children may become more other focused, but that also include unfavorable comparisons. They increasingly become self aware and concerned about what others think about them, a concern that transition into a preoccupation, right? So you can also talk about that our self focus can become a curse. Who said that? As the psychologist Mark Leary describes, feeding the inner critics who is constantly negatively evaluating our position in life. One reason that self focus can become a curse is that we are ignorant of the biases our brains operate with that lead us to make wrong decisions and comparisons. So it is also stated more about it when it comes to happy choices. We want something because we think it will make us happy. So as we are talking about Gore Bidal, right? So his statement is used to illustrate this point, which is found, which can be found out here. As Gore Vidal once quipped, what is that? Every time a friend succeeds, I die a little. Now, that is what the question, and as per the direction that we need to answer the following question based on the given information. So the question stated that what role does Gore Vidal's statement play in the passage? Now, what is the Gore Vidal's statement? Now, if we observe that Gore Vidal's statement is what every time a friend succeeds, I die a little. So it also stated that if egocentric self focus is a problematic, then maybe positive psychology works by changing our perspective to one that is more allocentric or other focused. To do so is challenging because it is not easy to step out of ourselves under normal circumstances. Our stream of conscious awareness is from the first person or egocentric. So uh, perspectives, and indeed it is high on impossible to imagine an alternative version because our sensory systems, thought process, and representation of ourselves are coded as such to enable us to interact within the world as coherent entities. So we can draw the kind of idea that uh, people starting from infancy have an egocentric view of the world. It means they see things mainly from their own perspective. As they grow older, they become more aware of others, but this can lead to comparing themselves with others, which might not always be positive. So it explains also self focus. So when it leads to comparison with others, can be harmful, making us feel worse about ourselves. So, and Gore Vidal's statement illustrate that. Now, what we need to do, we need to find out what role does Gore Vidal's statement play in the passage. Now, look at the choices. The first choice stated, it highlights the emotional impact of social comparison, illustrating how seeing others succeed can diminish our own sense of well-being. Now, this option explains what? This option explains how seeing others do well, right, can make us feel what? Jealousy or worse, which is accurate. However, it doesn't fully capture the deeper sense of personal failure. Personal failure. Or you can say that insufficiency or inadequacy, right? So that Vidal's quote suggests here, isn't it? Now, look at the option two. What does option two point out? It underscores the detrimental effects of self focus by showing how envy and dissatisfaction arise when we constantly compare ourselves to others. Now, this option talks about what? Envy, right? And you can say that dissatisfaction. Envy and dissatisfaction. So, envy and dissatisfaction, which are indeed related to what? Self focus. Self focus. So, however, vital statement goes beyond just envy. It touches on a deeper feeling of what? You can say that personal failure when others succeed. Now, look at the option three. It said that it serves as a poignant example of how deeply social comparison can affect us, reinforcing the idea that self focus often leads to negative emotional outcomes. Now, it it also highlights what how social comparisons affect us what negatively, which is part of what vital statement illustrates illustrates, isn't it? But again, it does not specifically mention the sense of personal failure and insufficiency that is emphasized in the quote. Right. Now look at the four, which is stated it exemplifies the curse of self-focus by emphasizing how other success can control feeling of personal failure and insufficiency. Now, here you would find out the option captures the essence of vital statement perfectly, right? So, which has or which ties directly into the passage discussion of the curse of self-focus. So, all total, if you talk about that, Gore Vidal's statement is used in the passage to describe what or illustrate what the negative consequences of comparing ourselves to others, right? So while all options touch an important aspect, we can say one, two, and three. So they touch important aspects. So you can say that uh, but option four is the most accurate. Why? Because it highlights the specific feelings of personal failure and insufficiency that vital quote is meant to convey, isn't it? Convey. So we can say that option four is the correct answer here. I hope you understood this. That's all.